streaming.
Alright. I'll just wait for it to
All
pop
right,
on up. Alright.
and we're live. Or no,
Yeah, we're free from jail.
Alright, 3, 2, 1.
Alright.
We
I'm just waiting
live.
for the nice. I'm just waiting for the link to pop up and then I'll do
Oh.
some shilling. Do some shilling.
How dare you?
Yeah. I'm gonna do some publicity advertising. Because we might as well. I also got to bring up the chat as well. So yeah, no. We're back. I guess for people watching the VOD, because that's how most people I think are gonna watch this.
Since there's 0 viewers.
Yes, this is 0 viewers right now. I'm just gonna pump out a tweet. Just give me a sec.
Streaming is hard, actually.
Yes, streaming is hard. Finding videos to cover is hard, and we'll get into that in a second.
Setting everything up is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't do it only once half a year.
Yeah, you could probably hear me doing my tippity types. So I guess I should probably go over kind of what's been going on with the channel, because we haven't done anything in like 2 months. Basically what's been going on is Lolly's got some IRL stuff that he's doing, so he hasn't been around for us to do free man stuff. It's just been me and Nelly. And we haven't, like, to be honest, the main reason is there just hasn't been anything interesting enough to cover. Really. Like that's like enough. The main. Yeah, like that's short enough. Because here's the thing, right? Obviously, you've got stuff like Bennett the Sage's recent video on Ava, right? We would probably want to cover that, but that fucking shit's like an hour and a half long. Do you have any idea how long that's going to take? Like, we're not EFAP here, right? We have lives, right? We got shit to do. We can't spend 12 hours fucking covering these long-ass videos.
I'm
like
a working man in the factory. I don't have time to stream 12 hours.
Yeah, like, fuck, man. Like, I know Mother's Basement had his Shield Hero video. That was like an hour long. Normalities has had some videos come out that are also like an hour long. It's like, come on, guys. Like, put out some 15-minute videos or something.
I did see another video, but it was Isekai, and I can't.
Yeah, and we've done like so many Isekai videos. We want to do stuff that's like new, right? That's kind of the problem.
It's nice and short. That's the only. And there's so much to say about Isekai, but it's only like in 15 minutes, and always kind of iffy.
Yeah, so that's why we're kind of decided, hey, we'll do a little stream. We've got a video that we want to cover. We'll do it in stream format so we can kind of, you know, do something a little bit different, right? And, you know, I came across this video because someone tweeted about it. Like, just the title and the thumbnail. And I was like, yeah, no, this looks like it would be fun to cover. This seems like it'll be a fun topic. I haven't watched this video on the animification of JRPGs. I haven't watched it. It sounded real. Yeah, we haven't watched it yet. We're going in like totally blind, which we try. Like sometimes we'll want to pre-watch stuff so we don't get too like fucked up. But this is going to be a pretty live, raw reaction to this one because
all our reactions are pretty raw. We just press record.
Yeah, that's true. But like, pretty much the main gist is also I'm actually gonna go. Yeah, just so people in the Discord know that we've started. So it's So I saw this on Twitter and I was like, yeah, nah, this seems like it could be fun to cover. So me and Ellie have decided, yeah, let's give it a look. Let's see what this guy's argument is, because I'm very interested to see how how the Japanese video games being Japanese is somehow a thing. You know what I mean? I'm kind of interested to see what the point of this is.
Of course, let's see how he does it, but anime is not the whole of Japan, so I guess, you know, is Yakuza, is that a JRPG? Maybe. Who knows?
I mean, Like a Dragon is pretty JRPG like. Because Like a Dragon is pretty like is basically Dragon Quest, because the whole point of it is that they wanted to make a Dragon Quest. Well, no, because the Like a Dragon is like the devs have directly stated that they're that whole game is inspired by Dragon Quest. They wanted to make a Dragon Quest like game, so that's why the whole system of that game is like turn based and stuff, or somewhat turn based, because they wanted to make
class upgrades.
Yeah, with the classes and the class upgrades and all that stuff. Like the whole game is a massive reference, pretty much, to Dragon Quest, and they're pretty open about that. So I guess without any more gish galloping and stalling, let's see what this guy's got to say.
Spoilers for Xenogears and Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh boy!
Have you played
what is anime?
Either of these?
No. I don't mind though. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about spoilers for these games that I haven't. I sadly have not gotten around to. Oh look, yeah. Oh man, we're actually getting people in the chat. That's hilarious. And to think we've been dead all this time and people still fucking subscribe to us.
Well, we lost like 2 subscribers in that time. Terrible. Like almost 1%. Right?
Yeah, almost 1%. But yeah. So I haven't played the games, but obviously if people don't want to get spoiled on, you know, those games,
I played them to completion, or at least Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So.
Well, that's good, because then you can have a perspective on it that I guess I'm not going to be able to have, right? So we'll see. But yeah, let's see what this guy's got to say.
Seriously, what the heck is anime? It seems like this term means a million different things to different people. Ask someone to define anime and you'll hear so many contradicting definitions. To some, it's just animation made in Japan. To others, it's a medium. Some people think anime is simply just all animation regardless of its origin. And these some people include Japan. Did you know the original...
Okay, so an interesting start. I guess we should probably answer that question.
Anime, Naretsu?
What is anime? Yeah. I kind of fall into the camp of considering anime its own medium, I guess, but not like in the sense of like it's because it's clearly just animation, right? Like if we're gonna talk like objectively here, it's just animation that's made in Japan, right? That's accurate if you're talking objectively. However, I do think that there is value in creating that distinction between like the genres of anime versus the genres of Western animation, right? Because anime is kind of like its own little thing, you know, with its own little subgenres and its own little categories. I actually talked about this a little bit on Twitter when I was responding to Tactifield, I think, where I was mentioning about how, like, because he was like relating this in terms of music, right? And I think that a lot of people view anime as rather than viewing it as like its own kind of like medium with its own genres and its own subcategories that are, you know, quite distinct, they just view it as a separate genre of music from normal animation. And that leads to a lot of people kind of having these really weird ideas about how, I don't like anime, right? But what does that actually mean? Do you mean you don't like shonen? Do you don't like slice of life? Do you not like this or that or the, you know, like there's so many, like, because anime is such a broad like category with so many different like subsections and genres and shit. Just saying, oh, I don't like anime is like saying, oh, I don't like music. You know? I don't like
so
music. Outside of these like few artists and songs, I don't like music. Right? It's kind of the feel I get from some people like that. But anyway, what do you think? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me?
yeah, anime is more of it's kind of a lineage. It's a branch of a family. And within that family, you got the weirdos, you got your right upstanding, noble protectors of the family line, and you got your weird uncles and your nephews that is way into history or whatever. It's a lineage, and in that lineage, you can identify different strands of something. And outside influences you can see in anime, and new productions and shifts and paradigm shifts and all that stuff. But all that to say is that anime is more of a thing that you recognize as anime. And
right.
Lineage.
So you're in the same kind of camp that you would consider anime to be its own kind of thing, rather
it's
than
its
just
own kind of thing, but pinning it down as many genres is kind of an genres or medium or types. It's kind of impossible. Because, you say anime, you kind of said that anime is made in Japan. Well, most anime is, of course, made in Korea or in collaboration with artists from America and this French guy.
There's a lot of outsourcing going on, yeah. So that, I agree with that. That's why I don't necessarily think that the hard definition of anime has to be made in Japan kind of fits a lot anymore. But that's the thing, though. It's kind of like what this guy in the video is kind of getting at. It's one of those things where it's like it is actually quite hard to nail it down and define it, I guess. But I feel like if you have to define it, right? If you have to define it, I would have to say, look, it's a very distinct style that originated from Japan that has its own unique genres and subculture within it, right? That is clearly distinct from Western animation, right?
Lineage is a term that I think is useful, because you can have two lineages in the same family, but they're identifiable.
Yeah. Like it's just a separate lineage of animation, basically.
And
is what you're getting at.
China is making more anime these days. But they are...
Yeah, China, Korea. I mean, you also have, animation from European countries. I know that the French have a very big history of making animation as well.
But you can still feel that they're stylistically different. They make different choices. They emphasize different things. They want different things from the audience, and they... The directing expects different things, so that is on its surface, it's the same pretty anime boys and girls.
So
but you can still feel a different origin from it.
So I guess I'll give this guy credit that I feel like it is very good that he is at least trying to define what he believes anime is. Because if he's going to be saying that JRPGs have this animification, right? Like, it's very important to define what he actually means by that. So I will give him props for doing that. So let's continue. And by the way, I do notice in the chat, yes, asking questions about like Street Fighter 6 and FF16. We're probably not going to go too off topic right now because we're covering this video, and we'll probably, I don't know if there's time when we're done, we'll go through some questions from the chat or whatever. Like right now, unless it's like an on-topic question, we're probably not going to answer it right away.
No.
But anyway, let's continue.
Animaniacs was mostly animated by Asian animation studios,
Yeah.
including the Japanese studio TMS Entertainment, creators of, Detective Conan, freaking Lupin the Third, Sonic X. Man, they even did the Devi Chill anime. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't exactly call Animaniacs anime. But that's just anime as a noun. What about anime as an adjective, a descriptor? Usually when people ask the question of what is anime, they're talking about it more as a medium. But a lot of people also tend to use anime to describe things, treating it more like a genre. So what exactly makes something anime?
All of
To
the
my friend
above.
Owen and Will,
Ta-da.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, well, yeah, it's like all of the above, right? It's kind of a weird, like, I feel like he's kind of not really said anything yet. Like,
Well,
I get what he's trying to do.
He's building up.
Yeah, I get what he's trying to say, but I'd really like it if he kind of was like, okay, this is what I think anime is. This is what I'm describing anime as being, and this is how it's going to relate to JRPGs. That's kind of what I want, right? I know we're only like a minute in.
You want a thesis statement.
Yeah, I want the thesis. Yeah, I want to know what are you like. You're right now. He's like laying the groundwork for his definitions. I'd really like to get to that definition now, so we can move into like what the meat of this is going to be. So let's see what he does.
something can be anime if the art style fits within the stereotypical art style. That being semi-realistic human proportions, with large eyes, bright colors, minimal mouth movement, exaggerated expressions, etc. But while I'm not trying to say they're wrong, what about anime that don't fit within this style? What about Penny and Stocking, Flowers of Evil, Ping Pong the Animation, Kaiba, Thunderbolt Fantasy? Is it about influence? If something is influenced by anime, then does that make it anime? If so, how much influence is needed exactly? Castlevania draws heavily from anime like Berserk and Vampire Hunter D. Netflix even claims it's an anime in its marketing, despite being principally animated by Texas-based Powerhouse Animation Studio. Dexter's Lab has an episode heavily influenced by mecha anime and Sentai. Does that mean that one episode is anime while the rest of the show isn't? I can think of some instances where a Japanese series is influenced more by Western works than Japanese ones. Ghost in the Shell draws heavily from Blade Runner on both an aesthetic and writing level. Cowboy Bebop is often cited as one of the most American animes ever.
Can you pause real quick, just for us to my idea of lineage, and I'm feeling that he's approaching that point, lineage.
Yeah,
But
it's just taking him a while. It's just taking him a while to get there. That's
yeah, lineage is for me the most concise description of how you can describe something as anime. Does it fit in the lineage? And the lineage is pretty broad and vague enough, but you can still, a family lineage changes pretty often with influence coming in and out and all that stuff.
Just got to turn the heater down a little bit. Yeah, no, I agree. It's right now. It's kind of like I kind of get what he's trying to do and what he's trying to set up, but I'm just a little bit like.
He's kind of starting from 0, and I think he can start from at least 20.
Yeah, like So anyhow, let's keep going. Like that's why I kind of let it play for a bit because I'm waiting for him to like nail the point.
Yeah,
Stocking was created because the guys at Gainax wanted to give their own take on shows like Drawn Together. Yet despite this, the show still feels distinctly Japanese, particularly with how it handles its crass, sex-based humor. So how about this? How do you write something like anime? Is it in the tropes, the approach, the execution? I bet you're wondering, what the hell is my point?
Yeah.
You saw the title. This video is about JRPGs, yet I haven't mentioned them once. Get on with it, for heaven's sake. My point is that describing.
Yeah, I'm not into this. I've mentioned this before, but I don't like this. I'm committing a sin. Haha, it's funny that I'm committing the sin. I have the self-awareness to point out the fact that I'm committing a sin. Right? Right?
This better be an actual point very soon because
Yeah, like just it would have been better to just get to the point rather than making a joke about the fact that you're not getting to the point. Is what I'm saying, right? Just give me the thesis. I'm waiting here, okay?
Something as being anime is nebulous and meaningless when having a discussion on the topic. Everyone has different definitions for what makes something anime, and I feel like arguing over it is stupid. If you're having a discussion about something and you describe it as being anime without expounding on it, you may as well have said nothing at all. What does
That's
this have
not
to do with Jerry?
true.
I mean, that's what you're doing right now.
I mean, it's still not true, because if you say something feels anime, that still conveys your idea to me.
Like he's spent all of this time, like we're 3 minutes, almost 3.5 minutes in. We've spent all of this time, and he still hasn't actually defined what he means by anime. He's just kind of been like, oh well, I mean, it's difficult to determine what anime is, and it can mean anything to anyone. So it's kind of point.
There are big books on how to define anime and its limits and its what you can say about it and how you can define it and how you can't or whatnot.
And the lineages and all that.
Yeah,
nonsense.
whatnot,
Like
and the techniques and the changes, etc., etc.
It's.
He could do a big smart citation of a big book and then say, "I agree with that," and then he looks very smart for having read a book.
Is there an anime studio that doesn't do outsourcing? I mean, I don't know. I mean, a lot of animation is outsourced these days. I would.
Well, big studios. There was this very impressive. Oh, I guess it's outsourcing still, but the third season of Kaguya-sama. The fifth ending is animated by a single guy from Puerto Rico or Brazil. Something South American-ish.
And there's also a lot of cases where I've seen, like, there are Western animators that get hired to do certain action scenes in anime these days.
Like that fifth ending is hype. It has action, it has dancing, and it has break dancing. That's pretty action.
Yeah. So let's see if we actually get a thesis.
RPGs. If you've watched my previous videos, you are likely into the Shin Megami Tensei series from Atlus. In the last 10 years, there's been a pretty massive shift in both the company and the series. With the rise of Persona and its massive change from the dark and occult to bright and colorful waifus, it's not illogical to think that this could start to leak into the SMT series.
I don't know, because I don't play Persona.
Well,
like most Persona fans, I don't. So I had to make the joke. I'm sorry. No, I haven't played any of the Persona games. I know a little bit about them, but I don't have a big history with them. So I'm kind of like, yeah, all right.
Well, because I know that TA from Persona 4 is a very popular waifu, and there is the idol character and Risa, and there's this long black-haired student council type. Female characters, of course, now. And there's the Imoto, cute Imoto. So that's pretty anime-ish in Persona 4.
I think if he wanted to make this point, I actually think the better example would be Fire Emblem. And you might agree with me. You may or may not agree with me on this, because Fire Emblem, like, there is a very clear distinction between pre-Awakening and after Awakening Fire Emblem. in terms of like style and tone and like gameplay, I guess, a little bit as well, from what I understand.
Well,
because
it's also a very clear distinction of pre-free houses and after free houses. No, I guess it's only one.
maybe, but you get what I'm saying, because like from what I've been like, because I honestly, like, when I haven't played any of the older Fire Emblems when I got in with Awakening, right? And from what I've been told, Awakening was kind of like the casual gateway drug, right? That got a lot of people in because it was very accessible and it had the whole waifu marrying mechanic and date sim kind of, well, not date sim, but like the whole support mechanics and stuff.
Well, the whole support mechanic was in from almost the very beginning. I started Fire Emblem with to describe the animification of Fire Emblem real quick. Starting with 7, or Fire Emblem as it's known in Europe and the West in general, I guess. You had support mechanics, and you had if you had your units standing next to each other often enough time, they get relationship better. And when they reach S, some characters can't have S, some can. They get married and get big bone, or they get proper in love and committed to each other. And all the other S relationships get blocked off for these characters. And in the end, it says they have. And when you finish the game, the game says they're happily ever married somewhere and did some research together.
And then you had Awakening, where it was like, oh look, let's do some eugenics. Breed the perfect. We need to breed the perfect child that can nuke everything using mid-maxing.
The eugenics was in a game that is like titled Pharisia 766 for some weird reason. And they brought that back for Awakening, but Awakening was pretty weird about it.
But like that's what I'm getting at is I feel like if you wanted to make this point about animification, because I haven't noticed, at least from my outsider's perspective of Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, like they all seem to have a very unified, like maybe not unified, but they have a very distinct style. Like I can look at this guy and I can immediately tell, oh, this is a Shin Megami Tensei character, this is a Persona character. There's not, like, in terms of style at least, there hasn't been like a whole like, oh, it's turned into a waifu game now, right? Like it's all about the waifus. So I'm not. Maybe he's gonna get into it. Like let's see what
he's the expert,
says.
Admittedly.
He is the expert on these games, admittedly. So let's see what he has to say.
There's also the fact that the old guard who made the series what it was has either stepped away from it or left the company altogether, leaving the franchise in the hands of brand new people who might be more open to the idea of taking it in a different direction. Persona has become anime and saw great success. So why not do it with SMT? It feels like with each release, there are people who claim that now is the time when SMT has become too anime. SMT 4 is too anime because there's way more of a story and character focus compared to previous titles, as well as the general art style changing.
Wait, so is having a more story and character focus mean that it's an anime? wait a minute.
Well, he's kind of. I'm having the feeling that he's kind of explaining it as he knows too much. He doesn't really explain it for somebody who doesn't really know Persona or SMT.
Yeah, or Shin Megami. Yeah, because
I'm feeling skips in the explanation, assumptions that I don't understand. Do you feel the same? That there's some skips in the explanation?
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing some information here, because just in general, having like more story and character development, I don't see that as like that's not exclusive to anime, right? That's not like that doesn't necessarily make something more anime, right? If you get what I mean, it feels like a weird thing, and I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and we've got our boy Joshua saying the creator If Gundam hate how
Gundam.
anime is now. Of Gundam. I don't know. I haven't looked into any of that.
I heard something of an interview that he had said something negatively, but I actually don't know. It's been a while since.
We'd have to look into it. I don't know, but it's kind of off topic to what we're talking about anyway. But like, yeah, I feel like I'm missing some key information here, because I am I know of these series, but I haven't experienced them, and everything I know about them is from proxy. So I feel like it would have probably been a good idea for him to maybe be like, hey, this is an example.
This
right?
is the timeline.
Like, this
from
is,
this point on, the people left, etc.
What is his like? I want to see an example of what he means by more character development or whatever.
I guess
right?
it's
like,
this game, but.
Yeah, well, let's see where he goes.
From classic Kazuma Kaneko to the modern Masayuki Doi. Apocalypse is too anime because the characters aren't as unique or original, and instead feel like archetypes you'd find in a bunch of other Japanese anime and video games. Not to mention the fact that the power of friendship is a real phrase that is uttered. Strange Journey Redux is too anime because they removed the Kaneko art style for something way more generic and bland looking, as well as adding in a new plot that doesn't match well with the original. SMT 5 is too anime because You know what? Now that I think about it, I didn't really see anyone accusing SMT5 of being too anime. Take your wins where you can get them, I guess. For me, I never thought SMT had hit that point of being too anime. In fact, after 5, what fears I did have been assuaged. Apocalypse's writing freaked me out, and it made me scared for the future of the series, yet I don't think it ever hit that point. But here's the thing. SMT has always been anime. It was just a different type of anime from the stereotype people think of when they describe something as being anime. To me...
I'm so fucking lost, Ellie. Are you lost?
I think he's kind of doing an almost fake out. This
is not the video I thought it was going to be.
I kept my mind open for the possibility that this could be something of a fake out.
Maybe, yeah. Like, I'm thinking I've been fucking duped here.
You wanted drama, you wanted bad opinion.
I wanted the hot take we could talk about, you know? Like, I wanted the hot, it's too anime and that's bad. I hate it. You know, that's what I was hoping for. But no, apparently this is a bit more nuanced, which is good, I guess. It gives us something to talk about. But like, my criticisms so far are more on the video itself and his structure. Like, I feel like he's not doing enough to kind of explain, like, or give examples. I think it would be really helpful.
I'm missing more of a timeline. Like, he mentions these game titles, and I assume they're either counting up or counting down, but I don't know which is which.
I don't know. I think wasn't Apocalypse the one before the newest one?
I have no idea. I never heard of that game.
Because I recognize the green theme of it. I think Apocalypse was like that, and then I don't know about, like, it's like there's no timeline, and the examples provided, like with Apocalypse or whatever, he was like, oh well, I mean, it has a different style that's not the same as the classic style,
and this guy, it's no longer this guy's art style, and can I see a comparison between the two or something?
And then there's like, oh, in this game they had characters that were more like tropes from anime rather than characters.
But what are the
which
tropes?
is kind of contradictory to his first statement when he was talking about the game that had a lot more character development and story. So I'm like just kind of left confused, I guess, as to like where he's going with this. I mean, there's still plenty of video left, right? So we've got some time for him to course correct, but I'm not hopeful.
Really feels like he didn't consider somebody who didn't know these names, or didn't at least know the order of these games. And I don't know the order of these games. I don't know these artists. It's kind of where the assumptions sabotage the video.
Yeah. Alright, let's keep going.
To me, a stereotypical anime is one that stars teenage characters with varying hair colors, typically with the male protagonist. Parents are usually non-existent. If there's a romance, it's most likely a harem coupled with a bunch of sexual humor in which the male protagonist doesn't mean to perv on the girl.
So wait a minute. I want to go back, because he's actually defining something, so hang on a minute.
Well, to him, at least.
To him. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I want to say. Hang on, let me listen to this again.
Anime. To me, a stereotypical anime is one that stars teenage characters with varying hair colors, typically with the male protagonist. Parents are usually non-existent. If there's a romance, it's most likely a harem coupled with a bunch of sexual humor in which the male protagonist doesn't mean to perv on the girls, but it keeps happening anyway, and the females physically assault him for it. This sexual humor is often meant to both entertain and titillate the assumedly male consumer. If it's an action-based series...
What?
Alright, he's describing two types of, or at least from now on, two types. You got the light-hearted, and now this more serious, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like... Well, my thing is, I don't actually think that's like that's a very like American view of what a stereotypical anime is, and it's also very outdated. Like, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real here, okay? I don't remember the last time I saw one of those types of shows here. Right? Like, I'm going to be real about that. Because, I mean, I keep an eye on, like, the seasonal charts and stuff, you know? Like, we do keep an eye on, like, what's going on. We haven't done a seasonal chart video in a while, but we do
like
keep an eye on it. But I don't recall, like, even, like, I guess we'd have to check this season. Like, was there an anime that was, like, a harem, multicolored hair, teenager, you know, sexual, ecchi type, you know, humor show that's come out recently?
If my mind goes to I'm right now I'm kind of thinking of something like the realistic hero or something, you know, kind of the isekai harems. But I guess you
could say isekai has kind of like supplanted that genre, but at the same time, it's not. Even then, like isekai is its own thing, and doesn't necessarily fall into that same kind of, you know, slice of life harem guy with a whole bunch of girls around him that are multicolored hair and they're all teenagers and there's no parents around and it's like just, you know, the sexually charged ecchi humor. Like I can't think of a show like that that's come out in like the last couple of years, honestly. Like I don't think that stereotype is valid to say that is like the stereotypical anime. If we were talking about like, I don't know, 2005, 2012, right? Like, yeah, okay, that's a bit more valid, but I think in 2022 those kind of shows have actually kind of gone extinct in recent years.
I guess
especially if we're going to talk about like the ecchi genre. Like the ecchi genre in general is like dead, right?
At least gone for the moment.
For the moment, yeah. So I don't know what he's. I guess he's now about to like transition into talking about shonen in general.
I have one. That is How to Not Summon a Demon Lord.
I guess maybe like
that was pretty. That's pretty edgy. I mean, mostly, hey, look, I'm naked.
Yeah, maybe,
nice?
but are there enough of those coming out for you to say that it's like the stereotypical?
Nah, it's more of it's more out. Yeah, it's outdated. But if I'm just going through the history right now.
Right. So yeah, I kind of feel like he needs to update what his definitions of stereotypical anime are. But let's see what he has to say now, because now he's talking about like more shonen stuff. So let's see what he says.
There will be a theme of getting stronger and bettering yourself, with a protagonist that is the epitome of virtue. There's a lot of screaming and yelling, with the villain being incredibly edgy. The villain will have a sad backstory that somehow justifies their actions to too many people who will argue that their actions weren't that bad, or that they shouldn't be blamed for what they did. Catchy. While it might not line up with what you think of...
So he's basically talking about two different things. He's talking about, like, slice of life, the ecchi stuff we just talked about, and then he's talking
romantic comedy and shonen.
Yeah, romantic comedy and shonen is like his idea of like a stereotypical anime, and now he's about to play that fucking Uno reverse card of, oh well, you know, I recognize that might not be what you think or whatever. When it's like, now come on, dude, fucking have some balls, stand up for your own opinion.
Commit.
All right, commit to it. Yeah, commit. Yeah, I personally, I'm going to disagree with him. I don't like shonen. Sure, you could say that a lot of the shonen tropes are stereotypical anime because shonen has lasted so long and it has so many different tropes that have so many different, you know, that have lasted for so long and been kind of ingrained into like the formula, I guess, right? Like there is definitely a shonen formula that has. You know, there's always a tournament arc. There's always like the main character gets a power up, and then they fight the bad guy, and they may or may not win or lose, and then they do some more training, and then and you can kind of like figure out what the formula is going to be. In more recent years, we've seen a few more shonens kind of buck that trend a little bit, like the currently successful. Spy Family, which is actually a shonen. It is actually it is fucking shonen. It is a Shonen Jump fucking property. Okay.
Yeah, but Girls in Their Savage Season, which was about girls learning about sex, relationships, catching your next door boy, masturbating to something, to whatever. It's all about
that was a shonen, right?
Yeah. So shonen itself is such a messy term. It's almost
I guess if we're gonna like more less broadly define it, let's say battle shonen, right?
Yeah, battle
shonen is your Naruto's, your Bleachers, your Black Clover, as he had
Flame
up on the screen. Like if we're gonna talk about, our battle shonens, right? There's definitely a formula to those, right? And even though within battle shonen, I think there've been a few that have tried to kind of,
Well, every good one has its own reason why it's good. So.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I feel like he needs to kind of like reassess, because especially if he's talking about those kind of teenage ecchi slice of lives, those don't exist anymore, which is sad. Like I'm actually sad by that, because that's obviously like that's the shit I grew up on, right? So I'm kind of sad that that's no longer really getting made anymore.
Wow, you have that slave manga that's getting adapted.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. They might not be getting adaptations, but I can at least read some good shit. You gotta get in on what was that one I was reading? That was really good. Shit. The Sex and Dungeon one. That one's really good. I can't wait for that to get adapted. It's gonna be great. But anyway, let's continue.
This is my stereotypical anime.
All right.
But just because something is nothing like what I've described doesn't mean it's not anime. Just as I said before, anime isn't just one thing. Cowboy Bebop, Black Clover, and Pop Team Epic are all considered anime, yet they're drastically different from each other in so many ways. While it might be harder to see since we're so far removed from the era it was released in, SMT was absolutely influenced by the media of its time. The most well-known would be Devilman, Violence Jack, and Fist of the North Star. All three are heavily influential, incredibly popular pieces of fiction that had an effect on many different works, and you can absolutely see this with classic SMT. The post-apocalyptic setting, the more adult tone, the nightclubs, and overall demonic feel of everything. However, the biggest influence is literally in the title. Digital Devil story Megami Tensei played a huge role in laying the groundwork for SMT. And while this series' biggest accomplishment would be leading to the creation of SMT, it itself wasn't really that noteworthy. There were a ton of these edgy, dark, demonic anime back in the 80s, many of which were much more notable than Digital Devil Story when taken on their own. Just because Shin Megami Tensei doesn't feature wacky hijinks, lots of sexual humor, fan service, characters constantly going to school, dating, J-pop visuals, and everything else you think of when you think of anime, doesn't mean it's not anime.
For whom is this video? For which audience?
I don't know, because I don't necessarily disagree with him. I don't necessarily think he's wrong, but at the same time, what is the point he's trying to make? Right? Is the point that is the point that Shin Megami Tensei is anime already? So saying that it's getting animeified is pointless. Is that his point? Is he arguing against it, or is he trying to say, well, it's not like my stereotypical version of anime, but I'm seeing it become that. Then I view that as a problem. Like, I don't know what his thesis is. Like, what is the point being trying to make here?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's keep going.
Another example of this would be with Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, here we go.
Xenoblade 2 is criticized a lot. I'm part of the group that does the criticizing, and no, it's not because I like Xenoblade 1 more. Side note, it honestly feels like the Xenoblade fanbase is going the way of SMT and Persona. Xenoblade 1 fans, regardless of whether it's fair, criticize 2 for doing things a way they don't like, 2 fans then criticize 1 in retaliation after growing tired of the bashing 2 gets, and it all turns into people yelling at each other, blaming each other, acting as if everyone who speaks against them.
Xenoblade 1,
all I ever see about fucking Xenoblade Chronicle 2 is fucking Puritans bitching about the fucking female character designs. That's literally... I have not seen anyone be like, oh, the gameplay is worse than 1. Oh, the story is not as well written as 1. The characters are not as likable as 1. No, it's always something about the fucking character designs.
I have plenty of criticisms, though.
Oh, yeah? You're gonna give us some hot takes, Ellie?
Story... One's story has more big impact because
so I should prefix this by saying I have watched an LP of 1, so I am familiar with the story of 1.
All right,
I haven't watched a full LP of 2, so I'm not as familiar with the full story of 2. Just so you know where I'm coming from. So
yeah.
I think I kind of get what you mean.
All right, so I feel that 1 has more big impact moments, but 2 stories, the story of 2 kind of goes, here's a trope, now let's go into how they're actual real people.
Okay.
Like the character of Zeke. Right, so he says he's going to spoil Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I'm going to spoil.
I mean, yeah. If you're gonna, yeah.
Zeke is introduced as a complete and total idiot that can't do shit. Then it turns out, oh damn, he actually is a beast. Oh damn, he actually is royalty and has responsibilities and stuff and can negotiate whatever's. And then he's just a regular noble who is kind of goofy at times. And he's a beast when he's not distracted. And that kind of characterization is always nice.
Mm.
And yeah, like I'm looking over at chat and there isn't as many characters but Xenoblade Chronicles 1's characters are used pretty well. But there's just more interactions in 2. More history of characters in 2. Like, you got characters who are thousands of years old talking to characters that are also thousands of years old, and they keep secrets and talking codes that the younger characters who are like 20 don't understand, and emotional backstories that make you feel for them. So, but they're to come back to the impacts. Those characters have more of a slow grind you get to know them slowly and appreciate them more slowly.
Right.
So this is more of a positive towards 2 than 1. My big criticism of 2 over 1 is that 2's tutorials are garbage. Its questing system is garbage.
Right.
Its menus are serviceable. And 1's stuff was also not great, but 1 got an update and is now has better menus than 2.
Yeah. I've heard that the more modern versions of 1, they went back and fixed a few of the things.
They outshine 2. It's kind of weird.
Which is kind of funny, yeah. Because from my perspective, right, the main criticisms I obviously see from people is, it's the female characters are fucking sexy, and that's a problem because, oh no, a woman has breasts, that's fucking, oh no. And then they're all fucking getting all celebratory with the new game, and the characters are not looking as sexualizing. Like, you look, see, they do listen to us Puritans, when it's like they're probably just changing the style, like they changed the style from 1 to 2.
Well,
secret
like, little secret. The artist is the same for 1 and 2, for 2 and 3.
Yeah. So it's I don't think it's like some fucking like conspiracy nonsense or whatever. Of but in both respects, I don't think they're like changing the design, because of nonsense. But yeah, like, that's all I see from people when they talk about Xenoblade 2. No one ever like talks like you do about like, there are actually issues with the game. There are actual issues with the game that are not just I'm afraid of women.
Talk to people who play the game, Naretsu.
But anyway, let's see what this guy's got to say. Let's see if he goes down that path or not. I'm expecting him to, but let's see what happens.
Opinion are all the same enemy and are unable to accept that not everything is an attack and that maybe we should just wait until Xenoblade 3 is out before trashing it when we know barely anything about the gameplay. Anyway, Xenoblade 2 is criticized a lot, with many people saying it's because it became anime. These people are stupid. Xenoblade 1 is anime as hell. The developers even said they storyboarded the cutscenes as if it was a shonen anime, which is why we get glowing power aura and fast-flowing action scenes. If you were to look into the first Xeno game, Xenogears, you'd find that game was also heavily influenced by tons of mecha anime. To claim Xeno became anime with Xenoblade 2 is utterly ridiculous.
Alright, fair enough.
Yeah, big robots. I think
big robots. Yeah. Okay. So now he's actually taking a stand on something. That's good. We're actually getting a thing now. He's saying, okay, people that say that Xeno 2 got animeified are stupid. All right, no, I don't disagree.
Style. I guess the point will be that it's a different style of animification. I guess.
I guess, but let's see what he has to say.
But there is a difference between how Xenogears handles things and how Xenoblade 2 handles it. One of the reasons people call Xenoblade 2 anime is because of its use of fan service. A defense often used is the fact that sexuality has always been a thing in the series. For instance, Xenogears features multiple scenes in which characters are butt naked. There are also scenes in which it is implied, if not outright confirmed, characters just had sex. Gears actually goes farther on the sexual front when compared to Xenoblade 2. While anime isn't the only thing to feature sex, it is a common trope that anime is incredibly sexualized. But here's the thing. Sex and nudity can be executed in different ways depending on its use, especially when you analyze things like themes, character, narrative purpose, and camera work. With Gears, sex is used more to establish and further the relationship between characters. When Faye and Ellie...
So all I'm getting from this is it's not my kind of sex. He's mad because
it's fan service versus character development.
Yeah, which I guess you could make that argument, but the problem is when you make the anti-fan service argument, you're a fucking Puritan. Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna be very hard on the Puritan stance because fuck these people.
All the camera work in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that focus on sex and sexuality, staring at breasts and thighs and stuff, that is always done from the character's perspective. It's not like some voyeuristic viewer is doing it.
I mean, it's just what the characters are seeing, right?
Yeah. But then, of course, you also have DLC swimsuits and stuff, so that's kind of...
Yeah, but okay, like, I've defended the DLC swimsuits before, because we talked about that in one of the past gaming episodes. Like, that was fucking years ago at this point. People haven't seen that one. That's DLC. I'm not gonna, fucking... That's an extra thing that you have to add on to the game. If you don't want to fucking have the swimsuits in the game, you don't have to buy that, right? Like, I'm not going to count that as, like, a fucking knock against the game if it's optional, right? Because that's literally the definition of optional. You literally don't have to buy it and have it added to your game, right?
It's to then be the Puritan, as you'll know that I am totally am.
Yeah.
The characters this is more of a systematic argument. Ooh, big society.
Big words.
Big words.
We live in a society. Yes.
We live in the societies oppressed. Blah blah blah. That the characters the characters are designed that allows for this. I guess that's my point. That's the thing. Every character sheet has the character in underwear in some way. And I guess that Xenoblade Chronicle 2 allows that more readily.
See, my counter to that is, why is that bad?
But then you go into tastes, and then
exactly, and that's the problem. Is these people think that their tastes outweigh other people's tastes, and that's a two-way streak. I know,
yeah.
But it's kind of like, look, you guys get to have your games that don't have fucking the sexual contents in them, but every single time someone like me wants to have a Senran Kagura, you lose your fucking minds to the point where those games don't get fucking made anymore because Sony fucking censors shit to hell and back, right? Like that's why I get so pissed at these people, because they're unlike me, who can be like, oh, okay, so that game doesn't have fan service in it. That's fine. I don't care. That's all right. That's great. If it's being more serious and doesn't want to have that stuff in it, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. The opposite end of the spectrum will literally have a massive fucking hissy fit the moment they see a nipple, right? Like, the moment they see, like, bare breasts and ass, they will immediately lose their shit and then spurg out about it to the point where they will start harassing people over it.
I feel that they, in the case of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, they just assumed more than it was. Like, if you look at the camera angles, the fan service camera angles, they're all like the onsen scene we had just had, like that was shown. That is really Nia in that scene being completely naked was not really sexualized. She was naked in a bath. Who cares? Then Mithra comes along in the towel, and she gets all the camera angles, but that is really Nia who's looking that way.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, did you need all those camera angles, or could have gone another way, etc.?
I guess you can make those arguments, but those are not the arguments being made, sadly. The arguments being made are sex bad, and that's where I think this guy's going to go with this. So, but hey, let's see. I'll give him his fair due. Let's see what he has to say. But I already think I know where he's going.
Have sex in Ellie's home. It feels like the natural evolution for the relationship and the payoff for the hours upon hours of romantic and sexual tension between the two. It's the consummation of their love for each other. Then at the end of the game, when they're running around the void butt-ass naked, no one is drawn or framed in a way that feels like you're meant to be getting off on the image. It feels more biblical. Faye has defeated Deus and has met with what could be considered a god. Being depicted like Adam and Eve serves a thematic purpose. The world of Xenogears started with Abel and the original Elheim, and now the god that created this world is freed from Deus by the reincarnation of those two characters. With Xenoblade 2, it never goes as far as sex and nudity, instead opting for simpler things like revealing outfits. The designs of characters like Pyra and Mithra feel like they were designed to titillate first.
See, my problem is I can understand the argument of, okay, this is designed to titillate. What's wrong with that? What is actually wrong with that? Like, we're looking at
Nerds, I think you're kind of. I think you're.
Look. I'm gonna fully admit I have bias on this, right? I'm gonna completely lay my cards on the table. But I'm looking at this chick right now, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a sexualized design, right? You have like the little gap, the hip bloody windows.
You see the
She's
navel.
Obviously, it's skin tight. She's got the thing, whatever. But my thing is, what's wrong with that? Why is this bad? Why is having the character dressed like this bad? How does this actually detract from the experience of the game? And the only answer is going to be because sex. I don't like sex. I don't like it. It's sexual. It's objectifying the character or whatever, right? That's going to be the argument that someone that doesn't like it makes, right? Every time, because they don't have an actual answer as to why this is bad, right? Like I view it as neutral. I'm not going to be like, oh, this is amazing. It's great. I can see your fucking hips or whatever. Although I will say that the fact that they if you notice the bloody squish there, that's Kino. Not gonna lie.
On the
but
thighs, like, it's slightly too high for me.
No, but all right, but like the thing is I hate these arguments because they don't actually explain. Like, the explanation as to why this is bad always comes down to some fucking nonsense, right? About, oh, well, the character's getting objectified and that's bad and we need to cover them up because, whatever. And it's like, what if they just wanted to have that style? They just wanted to have attractive characters that are sexualized in the game. What if it's that simple, right? But we can't have that now. We're not allowed to have that, Ellie. It has to be, everyone has to wear a burqa and fucking be unsexualized, and you're only allowed to have sexuality or sexual stuff in the game if it's missionary for the sole purpose of reproduction, kind of like what he's getting at in the first bit, where it's like, oh, well, this is different because it's, ties into the romantic narrative of the story, and it's, blah, 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 right? Well, you can only have sexual content if it's for the sole purpose of reproductive under the sheets, right? That's where I'm having my problem here, right? That's why I hate this shit, because they'll be like, oh, well, you can't just have sexualized designs for fun, right? You can't just have fun with these designs. It has to be some fucking nonsense. Oh, I hate it.
Shall we hear Mackey's opinion on it?
Oh, sorry, it's like 4 a.m. I'm trying not to rant too loud because I don't want to wake people up. So yeah, okay. What's your opinion on it? Give me the counterpoint. Let's go.
It was pretty long, so I don't actually have a counterpoint.
Yeah, I had a bit of a rant there, okay, so let me try and my point here is, what's actually wrong with this? Why can't we just have sexualized designs for fun? Why is this not allowed to exist? Is my argument.
It is in the end a thing of this is so not to my tastes, it repulses me. And that is, and you can go big, you can have the marketing campaigns or the reverse, I guess, boycott campaigns, petitions to stop that thing that repulses you so much you want it gone. But that's kind of just the way it is, that there's always stuff that repulses you so much you don't want to see be even close to what you like. So you have plenty of stuff that repulses you enough to.
Yeah, but I don't. But the difference is I'm not going to go on these crusades, and I don't have the backing of the entire game journalist fucking establishment, right? And I don't have like actual devs being censored and having this content be discouraged by the environment because people, screech about this all the time, right? Is the difference. Me being repulsed by, like, I don't know, what would be, that's the thing, I don't know if I even have something that I'm that repulsed by that I could use as an example. Like, I'm trying to think, like, what, outside of Puritanism itself, I guess, right? But I'm not, like, repulsed enough by that to want to, like, write articles about it and go on a massive crusade about it, and to constantly be putting out these think pieces about how, oh, this is a problem in gaming, this is so bad, and then have all of these people on like social medias or whatnot constantly retweeting and liking and signal boosting and talking about how much they hate this stuff, and then creating this environment in which if a dev wanted to do this stuff, they can't because they're going to get all the shit for it. So they're just not going to bother. And they're just going to self-censor, I guess, because they get so much shit for it. That's what I have the biggest problem with. If these people are like repulsed by this and they don't like it or whatever, fine, whatever. But the problem is it goes beyond that, and it goes into, oh, this shouldn't be allowed to exist, right? That's where I have my biggest problem with these people.
I'm feeling some similarities with some gay character being included in whatever game.
Yeah, I think those people are stupid too. Yeah, if there's a gay character in a game and someone, and Billy from One Angry Gamer is having a fucking spasm about it, I think that's stupid as well.
Yeah,
right?
So that's
I'm gonna be consistent in my view here, right? Like I think that
not you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. You're not saying me, but I'm just laying out that I am consistent in my view that you can have a problem with stuff like this. You can have a problem with the gay character or whatever, but it's when you step out of that realm of, oh, this is a personal problem, I just don't like this, and into, no, this has to not exist. I'm going to team up with other people and make sure that we create an environment where this isn't allowed to exist. That's where I start to have a problem. Because I'm of the mind that devs should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want with their games, right? If they want to have a sexy character designs like our girl Pyra here, that should be entirely their decision. And if they don't want to have sexy characters like Pyra here, that's also entirely their decision. I'm not going to, be mad at them for that. But I will be mad at it if that decision is influenced by the screechings of Puritans. That's the problem. And that works both ways.
Yeah.
That works both ways.
All right. Just to, I guess, there's more than one Puritan. That's all I wanted to highlight for the moment.
Oh yeah, no, there is. No, there is. There definitely is. Like, I remember when, because Billy's obviously the key example, when he was screeching about a trans flag and Celeste or whatever.
Oh,
everyone was and everyone was dunking on him for that, me included, because it's no, that's stupid. And I hate. I could go into a rant about why I don't like him and how he created a straw man that everyone uses to attack people like me, right? I hate that shit, right? That's an entirely different rant, and we could be here for an hour, right? So
that list of traitors was the most hilarious.
The list of traitors to America. But anyway, let's see what this guy's got to say.
And convey attributes of their character second. Pyra is the quiet, motherly type, while her sister Mithra is the bold, brash one. Both of them are meant to be incomplete. So naturally, the best way to convey these aspects of Pyra is to have her show more skin? Because she's...
I don't think that was the point. What would you... How would you rather have her? Would you have her, dressed like a mother or something? What do you mean?
Well, her character design itself isn't very motherly. But her incomplete design is not as much that she's less stuff on, on her clothing, more that it's asymmetrical. I mean, in my shot, you can see a little hole in one of her coat tails, cape tails.
Let me have a look at the stream, because I'm... yeah, you're at the same shot as I am.
Yeah, you see a hole in the right cape tail. And that's asymmetrical, and that is, of course, incomplete. And also, if you see her front, I guess it will show up in a few seconds.
Let's have a look.
It's incomplete? Yet she's also meant to be the modest one. On the other hand, Mithra was designed...
Pause right here. Mithra here is completely symmetrical. Her outfit. And except her little forehead hair thingy, she's symmetrical.
So, well, hang on, because he made the point just now that, Pyra is meant to be, the more modest one. And I'm well, okay, but being modest doesn't necessarily mean that you have to dress like a bloody nun.
I feel that he has a different opinion of the character. I don't think Pyra is more caring, more considerate.
He used the term motherly.
Yeah,
I
don't really think motherly is a good, because she doesn't, bring cookies to Rex. And
she doesn't bring. I mean, there was like the lat pillow.
yeah,
part.
but she doesn't. She also isn't a mother to Nia or to any other character.
So his point is like she's reserved, she's more quiet, she's more modest, right? That seems to be the like compared to this character, which is the more aggressive, outspoken, and he's trying to make the point that because it doesn't make any sense for her to be revealing skin because of the fact that she's modest, quote unquote, and my problem with that point is like just because she's modest in the sense of her personality doesn't mean that she has to be modest in the sense of her dress. Like you could what?
Yeah, and Mithra's abrasive personality is not really connected to her. I mean, I guess she has more spikes on her outfit, I guess
maybe. Like, I don't necessarily think that was the design philosophy, right?
No.
And I don't necessarily think that you need to have like a character, like the personality. Like, I mean, the problem is he's making the argument that Pyra's like outfit is overly sexualized to begin with, which is something that, I mean, I can agree it's sexualized definitely, but like if she was like in a bikini, maybe. But she's not in a bikini. She like it's a pretty skin tight suit. There's gaps in it where you can see skin, but it's not like it's like I guess that could be me because I view like I have a pretty broader fucking definition of what I consider to be sexualized or not. So yeah, I personally don't. Yeah, because now we're just getting into the weeds on that. Yeah. So let's see what else.
To see Pyra from the front again.
Trying to show less skin despite her being the loud one. Now,
is it less skin though? I mean, her back is still exposed. Her shoulders are still exposed. She has a boob window. Like, let's see if that Pyra comes back.
Now let's look at the cutscenes. Unlike in 1 and X,
okay, he's not gonna go back. So let's just.
All right.
So you can make.
Right,
there's a better shot, and I know there's a better shot. So let's find it.
All right.
It's like revealing outfits.
Bridget.
The designs of characters like Pyra and Mythra feel like they were.
Okay, so she's got thighs, right? Her thighs are exposed. Her back is exposed. Her hips are exposed.
Designed to titillate.
All right. I want to see the top of her chest.
Yeah, because I know that on the top of her chest she has like a bigger X on one side than the other.
Yeah, that's asymmetrical, and that is
it's asymmetrical. So her arms. So let's make note here, guys. Like guys in the chat, you can help me out here. So we got thighs, we got hips, we got arms. Her breasts are in the same kind of skin tight thing, but they're not exposed. There's no skin, right? So that's.
Do we count skin tight as skin?
I wouldn't. We're going to count exposure, right? We're going to count so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So arms, back, hips, thighs
first,
right.
And convey attributes of their character second. Pyra is the quiet.
Oh, there you go. That's a good shot.
That's asymmetrical as fuck. And
yeah,
in the art book, I believe, or it was an interview, those asymmetrical bits are meant to signify that she's incomplete.
Right.
Quiet, motherly type, while her sister Mythra is the bold, brash one. Both of them are meant to be incomplete.
Sister.
So naturally, the best way to convey these aspects of Pyra is to have her.
Yeah, but as you just pointed out, they're still conveying that aspect because she's the incompleteness comes from the asymmetricality of the design. Like, they could have probably made it even more asymmetrical. But anyway, like I said, so back is so we're at like 5, right? We're at 5.
Show more skin?
1, 2, 3.
Because she's incomplete? Yet she's also meant to be the modest one. On the other hand...
Okay, thighs, is one.
Well,
Rather than it being so
I
less
believe
of the
that
hips.
Mithra's entire legs are uncovered.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Oh, scantily. Oh, no. But so we've got let's just see. Look, let's go for what we can see, right? So we've got thighs, right? We can assume a bit of the back, but we don't have that same hip exposure. But we still got back. But her breasts are exposed. And her shoulders are exposed rather than her arms being exposed. So I would argue that it's about the same, roughly.
Total skin coverage here. I'm
total.
Total.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Completely secret message over here.
Yeah, I'm getting secret communications from the gods here. So I would argue that it's roughly the same amount of skin being shown. It's just different areas, right?
Less skin tight,
like,
I guess.
Yeah, like her entire legs are exposed, and you've still got like a little bit of that like back area / midriff. But like, again, it's just different. It's just different, which fits. So,
Mithra was designed to show less skin despite her being
look, her entire back is also,
the loud one. Now, let's look at the cutscenes. Unlike in 1 and X, Xenoblade 2 doesn't feature multiple armor sets you can freely swap between. In the first two, scenes were framed in a way that was content neutral. Because they didn't know whether the characters would be wearing something revealing or something modest, they had to place the camera so that nothing would look weird. You would get the occasional butt shot, but it never felt that excessive or intrusive. Xenoblade.
So, wait a minute. I think I get what he's going. I think I get what he's trying to say there, but it's. I don't know if like them having the camera angles taking into account the fact that people could be wearing any outfit necessarily means that it was like I guess you could say it's deliberately different camera angles in the game to highlight specific things, but
yeah, well, I think that's kind of smart game design, though.
Yeah, like if you're in a game where you don't necessarily know what outfit they're going to wear, you could make the point that they're going to want to have the camera shots be neutral because they don't know, right? I guess he's not wrong, but at the same time, I don't know.
It's kind of for what reason?
That limitation. Since everyone's outfit is controlled by the story, they can take it into consideration when blocking, and it ends up reminding me of sex position sometimes. For those who don't know, in Game of Thrones, they often try to spice up moments of exposition by inserting sex into the scene somehow. That's what Xenoblade 2 can feel like at times.
What? What?
Oh, look at this massively revealing
Only I think it's worse here because it distracts from important plot and dialogue.
Look, I'm not saying it's as bad or worse than Game... I'm sorry, but that is what you're saying, you dumbass. Why would you even... Like, that's not what's happening. Like, what was the scene we just saw? Like, the scene we just saw was what? Like, she's got her hands on her breasts, I guess. And also, yeah, Ellie's linking me like the actual design documents for these girls, and my point stands that it is literally the same amount of exposure of skin. It is literally the same. It's just, like, what is he even like on about? I don't know if you can link those in the chat, Ellie.
Oh yeah, it's just 2 image links. Let me.
Yeah, link those in the chat so people can get what I'm saying. Like how if you actually look at the
And the Vault will never see these ever.
Yeah, the VOD will. Well, I don't know. Do we have chat replay yet, or are we not big dick enough to get chat?
I'm pretty sure we're not big enough with 100 subscribers.
Oh well, exclusive for the chat. Gets to see the character designs, exclusive. Also, I love the fucking Dambu lolly robo cunny. But no, back to this point that he's making. Like, let me go back a bit, because he's like, hang on. So he's saying, okay,
sex into the scene somehow. That's what Xenoblade 2 can feel like at times. Only I think it's worse here because it distracts from important...
How is this distracting from important whatever?
I don't know. Maybe he
plot and
feels like
dialogue.
that her hand's position on her exposed
Chest,
chest.
maybe.
Yeah, cleavage.
But like I get that he's trying, like, yeah, like he's, I'm not saying it's as bad or worse than Game of Thrones and how explicit it is. Then why are you bringing it up? How is it in any way comparable? It's not comparable at all. It's not. Again, it's like they're not in a bikini. You know, like she's just got a fucking boob window. Like, what's the problem here? Like, that's not. Lots of outfits on females have a boob window. Like, are we gonna ban all boob windows from video games now?
V-necks, whatever.
This is fucking ridiculous. But anyway. Like the fact he even has to add this disclaimer in is a problem. He should have realized this is a problem with his point, and not fucking made this stupid point. Oh, here we go. Oh god, this is so, dude. Okay. Well, I'm saying it can feel like they add stuff like this to keep the player's attention during scenes where they're exposing a ton of important information that could potentially get boring, and I find it kind of insulting. What? Ellie, you played the game.
I don't.
What do you think about this?
I don't have this feeling.
Yeah.
One anecdote versus the other. Fight.
Yeah, one anecdote wars. Let's go. I don't know what he's on about. Like, that's so weird. That is, and also the way he's presenting this in the video. Like, I'm sorry, if you knew this was going to be a problem, why are you even adding it? Why are you addressing it like this? Why not just make this a point in the video? What do you mean? And insulting. How is it insulting? And also, no, there's no example of this either. Like, he hasn't shown an example of...
Unless the just then was an example, but it's kind of...
Yeah, but if that is an example, it's a pretty piss-poor example, let's be real. But anyway, let's keep going, I guess. He's wasting a lot of the video's runtime on this.
Well, we paused it. Although it's pretty long now.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Yeah, he's wasting...
And also, I never watched Game of Thrones.
What did it... Don't flash stuff on the screen.
Oh, he downloaded blah blah blah.
He downloaded that clip of X videos. I am just imagining this guy going on to X videos and looking up Game of Thrones sex scene download.
Like millions of others. That sounds like a very normie thing to do.
I'm just... Also, yeah, don't do this flashy stuff on screen. We've talked about it before.
And also, watch Game of Thrones. From what I've been told, I made the right choice. When Mithra explains that Hayes' core crystal is the wrong shape, she makes a diamond with her fingers.
So this is his example, Ellie.
I don't really care for that, because where are you going to do it above your head? You're going to do it in front of you, over your chest, because that's the most natural position.
That's where her crystal. That's where her crystal is. Her crystal is right fucking there.
I challenge you. Make that thing right now in your most natural motion.
It's right above my chest.
Yeah,
right
that's what I mean.
above my chest. This is fucking ridiculous. This is what I was expecting. This is what I knew was going to happen. I fucking knew it. I was a little bit like, oh, is he actually not going to do what I thought he was going to do at the beginning of this? But now I am vindicated, Ellie. I have been blessed with exactly what I wanted. Great.
Stuff you
just
disagree
so
with.
happened to frame her boob window.
Yeah. It just so happens to frame the boob window. So?
It's more of a...
So?
It's more of a positioning of the boob window first, and then she did a natural motion rather than she placed it over her boob window because.
Oh no, but you don't understand, Elliot. This was deliberate. They want you to look at her breasts. This is you know, I could make the bad faith argument here, which I know is the bad faith argument, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Oh, no.
That this is a self-report because he's focusing on the breasts rather than the hands. So I'm not actually gonna make that argument because that is kind of bad faith, but it's like, dude, come on, like come on now. That's just her design, and it's not. Oh, this is ridiculous. This is fucking ridiculous.
Rex waking up with his head in Pyra's lap. POV shot where you get to look up at her massive perky breasts that cover part of her face. It doesn't.
Okay. What else is he gonna fucking see? This wouldn't change if she was wearing, like, I don't know, a motherly dress or whatever, because like her breasts would still be poking out if they're that big. Like this wouldn't change. The only way to change it would be to not have the camera angle in the POV shot in the first place. But they want to have a POV shot of him waking up and seeing her
and being
the shock of that
and whatnot,
and being flustered by it. That's the point. What is?
It doesn't feel like blocking this way is meant to convey something or tie in thematically. Rather, they use the fact that the.
Well, actually, if we're going to go through his, if we're going to be going under his like assumption that she is like the motherly figure, right? You could argue that her, like, resting him on her lap and like waiting for him to wake up and like looking over him like that is kind of a little bit motherly. Maybe.
I think that is where the motherly comes from, because I don't.
Yeah, like if we're going to be using his own logic, right? Because I know you don't necessarily agree that she's a motherly type character, but if we're going to use his logic and say that she is, right? This is a pretty, like, this would be like a deliberate example of that kind of behavior. But because he's brain rotted, right? And he's seen everything as having to be some kind of sexual thing. He's not seeing the forest through the trees and understanding that his point actually could have been strengthened on that regard by using this as an example of, oh, well, she's acting like a motherly figure here and like watching over him in this way. You know?
Yeah.
Like, in a caring way, right? But no, because everything has to be viewed through the sexualized lens. Like, everything has to be sexual. It's a massive fucking problem.
Characters have static designs in this game to frame shots in a way meant to display TNA. I'm not against fan service. Hell, Xenosaga also did this with Cosmos and the beach scenes in 1 and 3. But in Xenoblade 2, it feels more distracting because there's so much more of it. Not to mention the addition of stuff like the infamous sleepwalking scene that seems to exist almost exclusively to let you look at Mithra's boobies, and to add one of the worst jokes anime has ever created. Guy accidentally sexual thing? Girl upset. No. Girl assault boy.
See, he's just fucking ranting now. That is Puritan nonsense.
Well, if you can rant for 5 minutes straight.
I guess he can have his little fucking rant, I guess. But no, yeah.
Understanding! Hilarious! That is my problem with Xenoblade 2's sexuality. Not the fact that it's anime, but because it can feel more like a seasonal ecchi than a game meant to succeed Xenogears, Xenoblade, and even Xenosaga.
Yeah, and what if that's just what they wanted to do? What's the problem? You don't like it? Fine. Okay, but
that table's very high.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna act like it was never anime. To claim series like SMT and Xeno have become anime, and as a result are bad now, not only ignores the history of the games, but it also means nothing.
So that whole fucking weird sidetrack into bashing the sexuality or sexual nature of on stuff in Xeno 2 was like, feels completely fucking weird. Because now he's going back to the whole, oh, well, no, but if these things are becoming more anime, that's silly to say. When he just was making the point that this becoming more anime was bad in this case. But it becoming more anime in this case is good? / neutral? / not a problem? What?
I don't know. Let's go and let him talk for a little bit longer.
Problem isn't that it's anime. Your problem is that it's doing things you don't like. I don't like Apocalypse.
That's exactly what.
Yeah.
He's just done that though. Like what? He's literally just done that with Xenoblade 2, and now he's gonna get on people's shit for doing it to other things. Are you fucking
I don't know.
real
Maybe
right
he'll include himself into this.
I still think it's bad.
His characters because they all feel like archetypes as opposed to people. I take issue with Xenoblade 2's sexuality because I think the designs clash with the character's personality. Because the tone feels inconsistent due to the poorly written humor and unnecessary fan service
This joke was
spliced
funny.
into.
I don't know if you know this scene.
It looks funny. I don't even have to fucking know the context
Let
to know
me
this is funny.
explain the joke. This is
All
a
right.
Frankenstein moment. It's dark and cloudy and storming outside. This robot is standing lifeless in that thing over there. And then with a storm, Tora, the cat thing, pulls the switch and she springs to life. No, you know the
Yeah, I
you know
understand
the
that
no
part.
pun. You know the no
Yeah.
pun. And then she springs to life like this. And can you play a little bit? Maybe you'll show it.
An otherwise good narrative.
Right.
Yeah! Like, what
Uh,
if this is just the tone they wanted?
For this joke.
Well, not even
I
for
don't
this
really
joke,
care.
for the game. That's my thing. Like, what if that's just like he doesn't have to like it, but it's like this is like criticizing. How can I explain this? This is like
I mean-
criticizing a heater for heating a room. You know, like the game has this tone, and you can not like that the heater
Well,
is heating the room, right?
The
But
game
the
also...
heater the
to rain on the parade a little bit, the game actually eventually goes into racism and war crimes and gods
Right,
and
right.
whatever, etc.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily like, oh well, it can't have moments where it's humorous
Yeah,
like this,
it has
or
moments.
it can't have moments where it's a little bit more lighthearted and does some typical anime shit or whatever, you know, like. But he's making it out like the entire game is this inconsistent mess of shit. Is what I'm gathering from him, and I don't necessarily think
Inconsistent
that's the case.
moments. Well, if this becomes then a discussion and a talk about what are moments and what is inconsistent. What is me telling you that I like fishing on the beach when you know me to be an inside person? Is that inconsistent, or do I have a hobby that you didn't expect?
Yeah,
Something like
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
Then it becomes a little bit like that. And
But anyhow, let's continue.
Just argue it's bad because it's anime. Explain what you don't
Alright, yeah.
like about it.
You didn't explain what do you mean? Again, you don't like the sexy stuff, but why don't you like the sexy stuff? What is the core reason? And I'm going to tell you, because I know what the core reason is. It's because you're disgusted by it. And you need to fucking accept that. Rather than, like, just be like, oh, well, you know, I don't like it because it's... Like, yeah, he's like laying out all of the stuff that he's guilty of right now. Like, he's guilty of the stuff he's bitching at other people
Yeah.
about.
all right, in the joke
JRPGs
or
have-
pause for a moment. So
Yeah,
Tora turns Poppy off, goes, oh, sorry, forget about that. Then the storm begins again, the lightning strikes again, and the smoke comes out again, and then Poppy starts up normally. But instead of Rex and Pyra over there and Gramps in the back, looking all expectantly and worrying, they got blank faces on this incredibly life, creating life out of nothing.
Yeah. All right, let's finish this off.
I have explained the joke. Was it funny?
Yeah. Always been anime.
Yes, it was.
I don't know a single one that I would say has zero anime influence. Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Tales of, Xenoblade, Nier, Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, etc., etc., etc. All of them are anime.
Yeah, because they're Japanese! That's like the most obvious statement ever.
They just approach things in different ways. If you don't like how something executes an idea, that is fine. If you want to call it anime, that's fine too. But if you're having a discussion about how a JRPG has become anime, explain what you mean. Because if not, you may as well be saying the Japanese role-playing game has become Japanese.
He's making my point!
Wow, he explained why he didn't like Xenoblade Chronicles, etc., etc. He thinks it is inconsistent. The sexualized nature.
I just think he's wrong though.
Yeah,
that's that's the problem.
Yeah, but he's at least being specific about how.
I guess you could say that, but I still think he's being guilty of the same thing because he doesn't actually just admit that he's disgusted by it. It's because I'm under that assumption every time. Because I don't see any other logical thing. Because he says, inconsistency or whatever, and it's like, no, if that's how they designed it, then it's like you're making the point with the fishing or whatever. It's like you have to determine whether or not it is actually an inconsistency. Like, if you had a situation where you had it's all super serious, and then you just have a character just fucking rip all their clothes off and start masturbating, right? Yeah. I think that's like fucking the extreme example of that, right? Whereas the example he used was, she's explaining something and she makes a finger gesture and that just so happens to give you a shot of her boob window or something that's just there, and that's bad because it takes me to blah 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 blah. I'm like, nah, I don't. That's not good, bro. It's not a good explanation of the point. But we've already gone over that.
If you excuse me, I'm gonna go sit in my chair while I get yelled at by Xenoblade 2 fans for criticizing the game over an issue it's often criticized for, but because 2 gets hit with way more toxicity, that somehow means 2 fans acting toxic isn't as big of a deal. Can you tell I'm putting a little bit of my...
Maybe if you weren't a fuckwit.
Naretsu, can we do a tally? Naretsu, are you a Xenoblade Chronicle 2 fan?
No, because I've never fucking played it.
Naretsu, am I a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 fan?
Well, you've played it, but I don't know if you would consider yourself a fan of it.
I think I am.
Okay, so we're one for 0 right now.
All right, and then let's in general, an outside viewer, chat maybe perhaps, who would say threw more toxicity towards this guy?
Me. I did. Because here's the thing, I might not be a fan of Xenoblade 2 specifically, but I am a fan of fucking ecchi shit, okay? And I am sick and tired of these motherfuckers criticizing my ecchi shit with criticisms that are fucking retarded. That's my problem, alright? I'm not gonna sit here and deny that I have my biases on that, but I am going to say that, no, listen, dude, people are mad at you, right? Not because you're you're criticizing their favorite video game. No, it's because you act like a fucking Puritan. Because you're using shit like, she made a finger gesture on her boob window to be an example of, male gaze theory or some shit. Alright? That's why people are fucking mad at you, and why there's so much toxicity around the subject, because again, and also you have to factor in the whole stuff I was talking about before with, one side has actual institutional power backing it, whereas my side doesn't. His opinion is backed by the establishment game journos and Sony, right? So, toxicity. Nah, that's just Naretsu. Damn fucking straight. Damn right, boys. We're gonna get toxic today. But anyway, let's finish it off.
Myself into this outro.
Oh, it's the end.
Yeah, we're done. We're at the end. So, all right. Let's dial it back. We're gonna dial the toxicity back a little bit as we wrap it up, right? So the start of the video, I think it was pretty alright. He needed to kind of get to the point a little faster and lay out what his actual thesis was a bit better. But other than that, I think it was admirable that he attempted to at least try to lay out his definitions, even if I think that they were kind of wrong. The bit where he goes into talking about the Puritan nonsense in Xenoblade 2 honestly came off as more of a sidetrack. Because the whole point, I thought, was going to be about, the animification of JRPGs. I thought he was going to be talking about, like, all of these tropes in JRPGs that come from anime, and he was leading into an argument that seemed to be more, it's stupid to be like, criticize this for being anime, because that's like criticizing it for being Japanese, which is what he kind of said at the end, right? But then he goes into this whole tangent about Xenoblade X, which honestly I think felt more like he needed an excuse to shit on Xenoblade Chronicles X for its fucking sexiness. Or 2, right? Yeah, you get what I mean. I feel like he just wanted the excuse to shit on it rather than actually try and tie it into his overall point. Because after that, he then just does a complete 180 pivot back into his original subject, which was more focused on Shin Megami Tensei, right? Which I think was, obviously his wheelhouse. That's what his channel seems to be about. So I think he had a lot more knowledge to speak from that perspective. And I would have actually have found it more interesting if he gave some examples of what he meant, right? That were a bit more in depth, at least for someone like me who's never watched, or played one of these games, right? It would have been nice to have had okay, so here's an example that a lot of people consider to be animification. I'm going to explain why this isn't as big a deal, or is such a big deal as people think it is, and then we can talk about, is this a good or a bad thing, and we can have an actual thesis synthesis discussion about it. But then it went into the whole Puritan shit, and obviously everyone knows how I feel about Puritan shit, so I got a little bit fucking heated, got a little bit triggered, I got a little bit triggered there for a bit, I had my rant. But I think overall the video definitely has flaws, but it's fine, I guess. it's fine. What do you think, Ellie? Have you got similar criticisms?
I like the beginning with the pointing out the outsourcing, that the definition can't be pinned down, etc. I think it could be shorter. I think Lineage is a good way to describe it. I think he could have done some. I mean, there is actual books written about what is anime, so he could cite those instead of making a new
done some research.
This is a problem of any tube in general, and I guess people...
although he's a video game
YouTuber,
but I guess we can paint the broad brush.
We can do some broad, gaming though, or even gaming. That there's all this work already done about game narratives, about sexualization in whatever media, interactivity, what anime, the specific lineage and cultures and techniques and all this stuff. That's all been figured out 20 years ago, and it's still YouTubers still trying to develop the theory on their own, when they just can read a book and see that the brilliant conclusion has already been thought of 20 years ago, for example. And
then what they can do is they can present that information in a more digestible way for the normies.
Yeah, or relate that information to something that is happening now, if he wanted to talk
about the discussion about whether or not Shin Megami Tensei is getting more animeified due to the popularity of Persona.
Yeah, or stuff like that. And then you can, these books 20 years old, they're still valid, probably, very likely still valid. Take those books, cite them, and you can, and I mean, I guess you then instead of, developing your own theory, you can just kind of repeat what you said and then cite the book that supports it. And bam, you got a legitimate authority in your work, in your video.
Yeah.
Actual supporting, backing, actual support for it. But, so the anime part was fine. The Shin Megami Tensei was confusing for somebody who doesn't really know Shin Megami Tensei. He just named titles, dropped names of artists. I was kind of lost of which one should be more or less anime than the other.
I think he needed to show a proper timeline with
show the video to somebody
examples.
show it to somebody who didn't know Shin Megami Tensei for a little
for feedback. And I feel like what would have helped is a proper timeline of, okay, this game came after this game, which came after this game, plus also here is one key example, and he kind of did that, but the examples he used were a bit too you had to know.
Yeah.
Right? Like you had to be in the know to understand the example. I feel like he should have explained them a bit more and been like, oh, so this game is criticized because it doesn't have the same art style that was done by this guy. And that's, a big problem.
Show the two games that switched the art style or something.
Yeah. Give us a bit more to go off with that. Yeah, I can agree with that.
And then keep going. Then it moved to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and there it's whatever you think about the sexualization of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think it was a little bit much for what it kind of felt a little bit too out of style for what the world was. But for his argument, it didn't need to be so long. He could show Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as well. It's majority agreed upon that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had more sexy designs than 1, and more sexy design than X, and more sexy designs than Xenogears. So that showing that comparison would have been enough on its own without going into what he thought of it, of how he thought he was insulted.
That's why I'm kind of saying that it felt like he just wanted an excuse to shit on it.
I think the video is a little bit too long for to be an excuse for Xenoblade. More of I'm talking about it. Oh, Xenoblade is something I didn't like. Let's dedicate
it gives them an opportunity to shit on it.
It's the same difference, I guess, in the end. And then he wraps it up with his valid and correct thesis ending statements.
Yeah, but which I don't think we disagree with.
No,
I guess
the problem is that he made such a detour, and it kind of diminishes the conclusion, because he spent so time criticizing something he doesn't like, to then turn around and say that it's not more anime. But then why did you spend so much time talking about something you didn't like?
He was going on about, he's trying to make the point that, if you have a criticism of something, you need to criticize what that thing is, rather than just say, it's too anime is the criticism, right? Which I think is what he was trying to get at. The problem is he, like I said, spent a good chunk of the video literally doing the thing that he is saying is bad, where he's going, because I've already gone over it. I'm not going to repeat myself, right? But that's what I have the problem with, is he kind of doesn't...
Well, I think he didn't really separate the argument of this is too anime to this is too much fan service. If he more clearly from the beginning said, look at this fan service it's quite a lot, isn't it? And most people would agree and would say, well, this fan service doesn't make it more anime. Look at those giant robots.
Yes.
And then you have
that, I think that would have been a much stronger argument, and it also would have been a lot less Puritan. Because I could be like, yeah, okay, there's a lot of fan service in it, but that doesn't necessarily make it more or less anime. So if you're just going to critique it by saying, oh, it's too anime, and using fan service as a synonym, right, or like using anime as a synonym for fan service, right, like that would be an actual good point, and the video would have been saved. But sadly, he didn't do that.
Well, no, that's so. Even if he went max Puritan and showed every example that he had in the video, but just preface it by saying, look at all this fan service, including the diamond shape over her chest. And then it would say, well, what a Puritan, thinking that it's sexual, etc., etc. But then it would still fit in his fan service thing, even if we disagree that it's fan service, etc. He could zoom in on the exposed skin, and then we could go, well, that's unfair. Why you do that? That's not even.
Yeah.
But then
we already scientifically proved that both those characters have the same amount of skin. So he's wrong on that regard, at least.
It's all context. They have everything, of course.
But anyway, I guess if there's no other points to be made, I think that's about it.
I think I was pretty concise in my final
I think you did a better job than me, because I'm still a bit triggered. But anyhow, we figured we'd do this as a stream because we haven't done anything in a while, and we wanted to kind of get back into the swing of things. If we come across any other videos, we'll try and get around to covering stuff. It just kind of depends on how we're both feeling.
Well, this gives us the excuse. Gives us the excuse to do another isekai next one, at least.
Oh no!
What else? What else is
Isekai
there?
hell. We're going to be in isekai hell for the next 5 years, boys. Get ready. But I guess if there's nothing else, I see Joshua's asking us about some Dojin Circle, but I don't really know anything about that.
Name doesn't
and 5-0 is saying thanks. So yeah, no, it's good to have you guys around.
Don't worry, this channel will never die. I'm very stubborn.
Yeah, if we don't upload for a while again, like, don't assume we're dead. Just assume that there's not really been anything we've been interested in covering, and we've been busy doing shit. Like, we haven't, like, we've just been like having real life shit happen or whatever. That's kind of the gist.
Working in the factory.
Yeah, Ellie's working in the factory. I'm doing my own stuff. Lolly's doing his own stuff. We're still around. We're just like, the upload schedule's not going to be very consistent for a while. Like, we're probably just going to do sporadic, like, stream shit like this, or maybe we'll do like the old video now and then, depending on how we kind of go about things. But anyway, this has been fun, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Like and subscribe.
Yep. Please like and subscribe. We need to like and subscribe to boost the algorithm.
How many subscribers do we have? I never check anymore because it's.
We're at 213 subscribers. We're in the big leagues now, boys. But anyway, yep, we will catch you guys on the next time. We don't know when that's going to be. Just keep an eye out. We'll see how it goes. So
laters.